Today I want to talk about several things I wish I had known before I bought a pop-up camper. So after having owned two pop-up campers, there's a couple things that I wish I would have known before I bought my first one. Several things that I put a lot of stock in that I really looked for, and found out really didn't make that big of a difference in the end. Alright, so the first two things that I thought that I had to have when looking for a pop-up camper was indoor running water and a fridge. And let me tell you what, they're okay. We actually don't use the indoor sink. We didn't use it past the first trip out. We decided that we were going to be cooking outside of our tent camper just because we didn't want smoke, smells, all stuff in here, and you know, we're camping to be outside. And so we're cooking outside. The first time I'm cooking some food on the stove and I need to wash my hands, I gotta open the door to the camper to come in and wash my hands with some soap and water. And I was like, this is not gonna do. I'm not gonna be outside cooking and then have to come inside the camper, opening the door to come wash my hands. So if you don't plan on cooking in your tent camper for animal reasons, smell reasons, whatever, there's a plethora of them, this really might only get used for teeth brushing at night. In which case, I've got a better solution for you. And if I were to buy one again, I would much rather not have the sink and have the space for storage and bags and other things than have it taken up with plumbing and sink. Now, you're not going to find a whole lot of pop-up campers that don't come with them, but don't shy away of one that's been renovated that have removed the sink, because obviously they found out the same is the case. And also, a little extra here, something I didn't know about pop-up camper sinks before I got ours, is there's two handles here, like a normal faucet. Most of them, unless it specifically says it has a water heater, are not going to have hot water. One of them is going to be for your water storage tank with the 12-volt pump, and the other is going to be for when you're hooked up to city water, when there's water pressure. So be aware of that. When you're looking at pictures, you think, oh, it's got two handles, it must have a water heater. Not the case. So pay attention to that if water heater is something that you need. The second thing is the three-way refrigerators that come on these. They're marginal at best. I highly suggest that you think of it as a drink cooler and not necessarily a refrigerator. They're tiny, they're inefficient, and they take a long time to get cool. And I wouldn't even say cold, cool. Plan on having a different solution. So we chose to get a big cooler and we just stock it with ice. So far, we've only been doing weekend trips. If you were to be going out for longer, you'd have to do some strategizing and some brainstorming and come up with other solutions. I know a lot of people get a electric countertop ice maker, and then they can make their own ice and fill their coolers up with it. So that's another solution. So the basic gist of it is, don't worry if it doesn't have indoor plumbing or refrigerator. Honestly, I'd really like to just rip out this entire cabinet and get that back as extra storage space. And if you want to connect and interact with other RVers talking about gear, DIY projects, best practices, jump on over to the RV Gear and Far group. I'll make sure to put a link in the video description. All right, so the next one is the air conditioner. Basically, guys, a pop-up camper is a glorified bed up off the ground with potential for some air conditioning. The air conditioning is awesome, especially here in the south, but as you can imagine, it's a tent. Air escapes, air comes in. That air conditioner runs all the time. And so what do you get when the air conditioner runs? You hear the fan, you hear the compressor. Basically, what I'm saying is I didn't understand exactly how noisy a pop-up camper was going to be. Up until we bought this, my experience was tent camping. Be prepared for how loud the air conditioner can be on a pop-up camper. And a little tip here, if you tuck your outdoor carpet underneath the stabilizer pads, it won't blow away. So the next thing is the stoves that come with pop-up campers. Thought it'd be usable, turns out not so much. Unfortunately, you can't put two skillets on there at once. I've got a backpacking skillet from a backpacking cookware set, and that fits with the skillet, but they're not centered, so you're gonna have a hot spot on one side of your cookware. Whereas something like a very common Coleman or other camp stove, I can fit both of these cast iron skillets on there, centered over the burner, and it works perfectly. So what we've done is we typically just use our secondary stove. Sometimes we'll set this up, sometimes we won't. If we do, it's just to use for one pan at a time, and usually something small like this. You know, that's about 8 inches max you can get on these small burners. So what I wish I would have known before I bought the pop-up camper is that although they do come with stove, the stoves are small and you're not going to be able to use regular size cookware if you want it centered over the burner. So the last thing I want to talk about is the alternative that we came up with to solve the indoor sink issue. We got a fish cleaning sink. It folds up, it stores away really nicely, and you just hook up water to it and you got an outdoor sink. It also serves as an extra prep table, and we absolutely love it. I can't speak highly enough for this piece of equipment. Having the sink outside it's awesome. We usually put a splitter on there and we attach a sprayer hose, so when the kids come back with muddy feet, we just spray off their feet. And then we have an outdoor sink for cooking, cleaning, hand washing, and it's really been fantastic. And like I said, we only used the indoor sink once, and we haven't used it since. All we've used is this. And you can get special hoses that will plug it directly into the drain at the campsite, or what we use is just this store and tote. It goes into there. When it's almost full, we take it to the dump station and get rid of the gray water. Well guys, there you go. Just a few things I wish I would have known before I bought my first pop-up camper. If you have anything to add or what things you wish you would have known before your first RV, go ahead and put them in the comments down below. Until next time, take care and pay it forward.